He uses nail clippers to scrape aluminium powder from a 1-cent coin. Then he poured it over the handle and heated it. As the temperature rises, the handle and nail clippers were literally welded together. It became a jailbreak device. Maurice took it for a test drive. He was much more efficient at cutting through the wall, but it didn't take long for the guards on patrol to smell it. Luckily, Maurice heard the footsteps and reacted just in time. Plus the cell was dark. The guards didn't even notice the tool that had fallen on the floor. Once the guards had left, Maurice went back to chiseling. So at night, he chiseled the walls as hard as he could. During the day, when the air was out, he would scatter the plaster on the outside. After several days of hard work, finally the whole fence was exposed. But then came the problem. The two ends of the fence were tied by iron clasps. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't pull them off. What could he do now? Looking around the prison, there was only one place with the right tools, and that was the carpentry workshop. So Maurice volunteered, but inside he found an unassuming wedge. With this he could definitely break the barbed wire. But how to get past the metal detector? He didn't have a good idea, so he walked straight through. Of course the guard spotted him, but Maurice had a good story to tell. He said he just wanted to take it back and make a coat hanger. The guards obviously didn't believe him. He confiscated it on the spot. Maurice didn't say much. He just went back to his cell. It turned out there was another wedge he had hidden in the bottom of his shoe. Immediately, Maurice used the wedge to kick open the barbed wire, but he couldn't have cut the wall like this. He still had to disguise himself, and that's where Blackie the librarian comes in handy again. The magazines that Black had brought in were soaked in water, and laid them out in the shape of a box. He also asked his mate Parker to ask the warder for brushes and paint. He also asked his mate Parker to get some brushes and paints from the prison guards and put them on the heads of the paper figures, and then put hair on them. In the dark, the fake head was more than enough to make it look real. After all this he went out of the hole. He climbed up the pipe to the top floor. There was still a layer of barbed wire from the rooftop, and at a height of over 2 meters, it's impossible to climb up. It looked like he had to wait for his teammates to come up with him. Just then a prison guard was on patrol below. He was surprised to find Maurice had gone to bed so early. Parker is trying to cover for Maurice. He said he was not feeling well. The guard was about to leave, but then, coincidentally, the baton fell to the ground. The warder knelt down to pick up his baton. He noticed that Maurice was not moving. He felt that something was wrong and slowly went up to him and touched him with his hand. Luckily, Maurice had already returned to his room. The rest of the day went by. The team was almost ready. So in the evening, he took one of his teammates up to the top floor. Looking around he saw that there was a large iron cover over the mesh. To get to this iron cover, you need a drill. It's not something you can get, except for Maurice. He overlooked a small fan. An idea came to him in a flash. He asked the old man next to him if he can help him get a drill. The old man had a lot of contacts. He asked him for a month's worth of desserts in exchange. So, Maurice secretly put the fan in the case of his musical instrument. And when he got to the door, he offered to let the guard check it. The guard thinks, you're fucking looking down on someone. So he checked Parker in the back. At night Maurice took out the engine, making a small drill with a drill bit. It was late at night. The two men climbed back up to the top floor, and managed to break through the big iron hood. But early the next morning, the warden came with his guards to make a raid, took his bunk, went through the metal detector, and removed the box he was using to block the hole. Luckily the cardboard wire was of good quality. It didn't collapse straight away, but to be on the safe side, the warden was going to move him to a different cell. Maurice realized that he had aroused suspicion, so he called his partner and decided to leave tonight. At night, when everything was ready, the three of them climbed up the passage towards the roof, except for Parker, who was next to him, because Parker was on a prison sentence. So lacking the courage to take the plunge, the three of them decided not to wait for him, pulling each other up through the air vent to the roof, and then they managed to get down the outside wall along the pipe to the ground. Then they ran all the way to the beach, blowing their Macintoshes into life jackets, and the inflatable boat, into the sea, escape from the prison.